We did not make it. Not only did we not make any progress, but it got worse today. Car climbed all the way up to 225. I was honestly terrified that she was going to blow a gasket today. Once again, exit off the highway and just with the heater on full blast, nurse her back to the parking lot so I could take my Subaru home. Despite getting up early in the morning, I re-bled the system, ran it for 15 minutes with the heater on this time, removed all the air. I was pretty excited because when I got back to the car 12 hours later, the fluid level in the expansion tank was the same. So that's a really good sign. Also, the heater was blowing hot. So both of those things are a really good sign that I did, in fact, purge all the air out of the system properly. And again, even still, it got worse. Made no progress. Went from 221, 217 the day before up to 225. I've never seen her get up to 225 ever. So that was a bit terrifying. But anyway, we're past it now. So you know what I think the problem is I think when I removed the fan and put the fan back on, I didn't tighten the clutch enough. I'm thinking because she kept climbing during idle. When she was running, like, moving forward, she was fine with the air blowing across the engine. But I think when she was in idle, she would climb really quickly. So I think I did not properly reinstall the fan. I probably did not tighten it well enough. So I've got to go back to O'Reilly's, get the fan clutch tool once again and the wrench set. Gonna go in tomorrow, re-tighten I might even just take the fan off and then re-put it back on, or I don't know if that makes any difference, but just to like kind of reset the situation. But anyway, point is I'm gonna try to tighten the fan clutch and see if that fixes it. More to come. It's not over yet. All right, so here this morning. Now, this engine is cold. It has not run overnight, and you can see the fluid level is still good after running it yesterday. Fluid's right there. So that means, again, there's probably no air in the system. And when I turn the fan, there's some resistance. So at least we know it's threaded on properly. Now what I need to do is run the car, get it up to 210, 220 degrees, and when I pop open the hood while the car's running, I should see the fan running like a jet engine. If not, that means the clutch is not clutching properly when the engine's hot. So let's see how that test goes. Okay, I think I finally found the issue, and I've ruled out air in the coolant system. So I ran the car around, got it all the way up to 225 again. It got there pretty quickly. And what I see here, the engine's hot right now. It got up to 225. I just shut off the car. And when I turn my fan, it spins easily. It's not supposed to do that. When the clutch gets hot, it's supposed to engage, and there should be some resistance. The fan shouldn't be able to spin at all when I'm pushing it. So I thought I had tightened the clutch. Apparently not. Apparently I'm doing a bad job. So I just got to keep going until I've got this clutch tightened. So this must be the issue right here. The fan should not be spinning this easily. Okay, let's talk about viscous fan clutches real quick. So, basically, first of all, in earlier videos, I kept saying over and over again, I need to tighten the fan clutch. I didn't tighten the fan clutch. That's not the correct terminology. All it is to get the fan onto the water pulley thread or shaft or whatever we want to call it. It's just a threaded, this one is a reverse thread, which means it's lefty-tighty. but it's just a threaded connection. This isn't actually the clutch. The clutch is over here, and the clutch is what ultimately lets the fan grab and get driven when the engine's really hot. And the way this fan clutch works, so this obviously, it's not an electric fan like in other cars. It's a viscous fan clutch, which means it's thermally activated. So right here in the, I don't know if you can see too well, but it kind of looks like a coil or a spring. This metal spring is made up of two metals of dissimilar material, each with different thermal expansion coefficients. You can tell I did this research last night for the first time. So theoretically, as this gets hot, the coil will contract, and that's how the clutch grabs, if you will. So then at higher engine temperatures, this thing should be going like crazy. Now, if you recall what we saw, and I'm grabbing the threaded the nut now, when the engine was cold, and I tried to turn it, there's definitely some considerable resistance here, which is good. If it was spinning like a bicycle wheel, like this is taking some effort to turn. If it was spinning freely like a bicycle wheel while cold, that would definitely mean that the clutch is bad. So far, good sign. However, we did see that when the fan was heated up and the engine got up to 225, and immediately I tried to spin the fan, it essentially had the same exact resistance. Now that's a bad sign. I don't really know what else to do at this point except to test the clutch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put, with Sharpie, I'm gonna put a line, a straight line down the side of the coil, and then I'm gonna heat it up and see if the lines move, if the coil contracts, if it reacts to the heat well. If it does, then we know that the clutch hasn't gone bad and that it's working. I should also just quickly note that I have visually inspected the clutch. I see no issues with all the fins on the side. I see no issues with the coil itself. There's like a silicone, the engineering behind this is actually really interesting. I'm not gonna get into it because I don't understand it. But there's a silicone gel in here that gets moved around. I don't see any fluid, there's no fluid seeping out. So absolutely no signs of damage. Okay, so right there, I don't know if it shows up too well, but right there is my line that I made with Sharpie, and I'm gonna heat this up now. Okay, I think we have solved it, or at least we've identified what the issue is. I've been heating this coil up for a few minutes now, and you can see that the line has barely moved at all. It has moved a tiny bit, but this coil should really, when it's heated up, I mean, it should really cinch together. So it's not contracting at all when it's heated. So that must be the issue. So what do we do now? Well, we've got to buy a new fan clutch. Now, I could spend $400 and get the OEM fan clutch and fan blade assembly from Land Rover. However, I've seen on the Land Rover forums, and by seen, I looked it up last night, that a lot of Land Rover users like I can't remember, it's like Hayden. Hayden is the fan clutch. Can't remember which model number. And then there's also another manufacturer for the blades. So that is a lot cheaper and more readily available. So looks like I'm going to be purchasing that today. Hopefully it comes in the next few days. We can get it installed, and hopefully that solves our overheating issue. If it doesn't, I'm gonna crash out. So let's see how this goes. But at least we're getting there. At least we've determined that this must be the issue, because I've been heating it up for a few minutes now, getting it really hot, and the coil has barely contracted at all. All right, so in the name of good science, we should probably run our experiment with a bit more tight understanding of what's going on. And I'm a little bit paranoid about what I did this morning and if I really checked the clutch closely enough. So we're gonna redneck the heck out of this. I got a meat thermometer and I got a Bic. So now we're gonna know exactly how hot the metal is, roughly. I still have my line there. Can you see that? All right, so it's gonna heat it up. Gonna apply flame directly to the clutch. It's windy. I have a better idea. Now we're cooking with gas, literally. I said we were gonna redneck this. Okay. It's been running for a little bit. Let me take it off, check the temp. Temperature's reading over 200 degrees. My Sharpie mark's gone. You know what's interesting is it looks like the clutch worked. This is much tighter coiled than it was before. Let's check the resistance. Still about the same. But if I look very closely, I see my Sharpie marks and they are staggered, which means that the coil has cinched up. So the clutch works. The clutch works. I'm glad I checked that. It most definitely works. I'm gonna see if I can get a closer look. Okay, so trying to keep this in focus. Here's a Sharpie mark. Here's a Sharpie mark. Sharpie mark. Sharpie mark. And you can see that they're staggered. And actually, this has been cooling down. Oh, do you see that? It's moving. I'm not sure how well it's coming up on the camera. Let me see if I can flip the burner upside down without it being dangerous. We'll see if I can film this. Let's try it. We gotta be safe about this. Let's not do that. Well. Look at that. Sharpie marks all over the place. Looks like there's no problem with the fan clutch. All right, let's just review where we're at. It's day 6 of trying to figure this out. We replaced all the coolant hoses. I have in fact double checked that all the coolant hoses are routed correctly and are going, to the correct areas. We refilled and bled the coolant system twice. And then lastly, we took the fan off, the radiator fan, tested the clutch, and we've confirmed that it's operational. I've also checked to make sure that there's no leaks or no hoses have flown off or anything like that. So at this point, I'm pretty much at a loss what the issue might be. All I can do for now, I'm gonna put the fan back on this morning, make sure that I put it on correctly, and run the car around the block again. Who knows if something changed just by taking the fan off and putting it back on. And if that doesn't fix it, I'm just gonna have to re-bleed the system again this weekend, because I have literally no idea like what else it could be. So that's the plan. All right, so I've got the fan back on, and this time when I push it, there's even more resistance than there was before. So I'm wondering if I just really screwed up putting it on the first time. Let's hope that was the issue. I'm gonna start up the car, drive it around the block. Let's see how this goes. I'm just honestly praying that we finally have solved this. Really, really am praying. All right, we're doing our field test. Been driving for about a minute. We're at 108. She's at 200. Oh man. All right, remember the hottest she's supposed to get up to is around 205. She's at 203. I don't know if we... man, I don't know if we fixed it. She's at 205. My gas is low. I gotta get some gas. It's at 207 now. Oh, what am I doing? Just sitting here. Okay, tell me how when I put the fan on, there was some resistance when I tried to turn it. And now it's hot. And I turn it and look how easily it turns. So it should not be turning that easily. Well, now I've never been more confused in my life. I take the fan off, I test the clutch by heating it up. When I heat it up, it turns, for sure, because I used my Sharpie marks and I saw that it turned. Now I drive, engine gets up to 225, I try to turn the fan when the resistance should be greatest, and there's barely any resistance. So how can the fan clutch work, and yet when it's hot, there's no resistance? I don't get it. But I think that does tell us that the clutch is bad, actually. What a roller coaster. There's no way this fan clutch is working properly. The fact that, like, and I tested it yesterday with the Sharpie marker, but the fact that it's 225 and is offering little resistance, it just doesn't make any sense. There has to be something wrong with it. So, I don't know the mechanics well enough. I don't know if... The other thing is I put the burner, the backpacking gas stove burner directly on the thing. Maybe the clutch only works when I get it up. That burner's very hot. Maybe I got the metal up to like 500 degrees for all I know. I'm stupid because I didn't check with the meat thermometer, so I have no idea how hot the metal was. I was just trying to see if the clutch worked. Well, it seems like maybe the clutch does work, but maybe only when it gets like 500 degrees, not 250 or 200 in the engine. So I think we have solved it. Again, it's a roller coaster, because then I thought the clutch was working, but I think we have solved it. I think the clutch is bad, Radiator fan's not working. I have ordered a new radiator fan and new fan blades. They won't be here till next Friday, literally a week from now. So it looks like this car is going to be sitting in the lot for a week because it's just not drivable in its current state. And so yeah, now all I can do is just wait a bit, wait for it to cool down, nurse it back to the parking lot, and just let it sit for a week. And we'll check back in later once I have that new fan and the new fan blades. All right, it is 1 week later, and finally in the mail I've received my new fan clutch, my new fan blades. I'm gonna assemble them together and put them on the Rover this morning. The fan clutch is a Hayden 2781, and the fan blades is a Dorman 620-112. Sounds like from the forums, folks have put these on their trucks before, and it's worked out well. The only complaint I saw online was possibly a higher draw of horsepower from the engine, and also the clutch actually engaging early and being on when it wasn't supposed to be on and making the truck really loud. But you know, if that happens to me, I'll take it over the truck overheating. So we'll get this assembled, put it on the rig, and take it out for a test drive. All right, we got the clutch on, new fan blades on, seeing good resistance. It's locked onto the water pump pulley. Let's start her up and hope she doesn't blow up. All right, well, the saga continues. Getting pretty frustrated, to be honest. All right, so we took it out for a test drive, same circuit we usually do. And engine, even with the brand new fan blades, fan clutch that everybody recommends, still getting up to 225. Had to shut off the car again, let her cool down, and get her back. And what I'm actually kind of seeing is while the engine is running hot for sure, like at idle it's at 217, 221, which is what it was at before. So while I was running hot and idle, and I was expecting it to be at least 10 degrees lower than that, it does at least stabilize while we're idle. But when we're under load, temperatures climb fast, get up to 220, and then they just keep going up to 225. So while I thought the issue was the car being in idle, I think the issue might be it being under load. Overheating issues while under load, we didn't have those before, now we do. What I'm gonna do is there's a Napa nearby, I'm gonna get a coolant fluid tester, make sure my mix is good. I'm pretty sure that's not the issue, but getting one of those testers, it's like $10. Because we can rule out the fan clutch, it's brand new. I can do the coolant test, probably rule out the mix of coolant. I don't know what else it could be. Maybe it's the thermostat is sticking. So annoyingly, I think I'm gonna have to drain the system again, take the thermostat out and test it, put in a pot of boiling water, see how it operates, make sure it's opening all the way, making sure it's closing all the way. And then other than that, I really don't know what else it could possibly be. So yeah, it's just been pretty annoying, but that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna test the coolant mix, make sure it's good. If it's good, I'm gonna drain her out and test the thermostat. I have no idea what else it could be. All right, let's see how it goes. Okay, got one of these coolant mixture testing kits from Napa, a $10 purchase. Looks like our boiling point with a 15-pound pressure cap is roughly 261.5 degrees. Let's take a look, see if that sounds about right. All right, so it sounds like a boiling point of 261.5 degrees with a standard 15 psi pressure cap, which is what the Disco has, is um, just a few degrees lower than the optimal 265, meaning I have maybe 60% of coolant, 40% DI water in the system. What I can do is drain a little bit of coolant out and replace it with DI water, get that boiling point up a few more degrees. And since I'm going to test the thermostat's operation anyway, since I think that is the culprit of our problems, I'll just remove the thermostat. Then when I put the thermostat back, after testing it, the thermostat, when I put it back in, I'll put some more DI water rather than coolant. And we'll also rebleed the system, obviously, so we'll be taking care of 3 stones in one go. So my next step is to remove the thermostat and test it. Alright, so just to show the control, I got some DI water here. It's completely room temperature. Then I got my thermostat here. I know probably can't see too well, but I'm gonna pour in the top. And the side hose. And I'm not sure how well the video is picking it up, but there is a dribble of water, which should happen because how else, when you fill the coolant system, are you gonna get coolant through the thermostat and down to the lower elevation areas of the coolant system. So this is our control, room temperature water. Got a dribble of water going here. All right, I'm gonna pour that out. Okay, now I'm gonna heat up some water. Okay, much better. Okay, this water I have in my hand right now is 157 degrees. I'm definitely getting some more water coming through, but it's still just a trickle. Let's give it maybe 30 seconds here. Okay, so around 157 degrees, it's still not open all the way. Let's I want to get a 170 degree water. All right, that's 170. Let's pour into our stat. All right, looks like poured in 170 degree water and it definitely is not opening. Let's pour in 180 degree water and see what happens. About to boil as well. All right, we're at 182. Grab my thermostat, pour in 182 degree water. It should be opening. Well, would you look at that? Why is it still letting in just a trickle? And it doesn't look like it's opened up at all. 182 degree water, and this thing really is not it's not letting full flow. You can still see it's You can see it's just a trickle, just like it was with the room temperature and the 160 degree water. All right, next test, 190 degrees. 192. All right, we're at 192. Carefully pour this in. 190 degree water. I don't see anything happening. I mean, okay, so it's starting to okay, there you go. 192 degrees. We're definitely starting to see some more flow. That is definitely more flow. But with 192 degree water, next test, 200 degree water. All right, test number 5, 202 degree water. 200, 201, 202. Here we go, 202. Yep. Definitely got a good flow here. Definitely got a good flow here at 200 degrees. Yeah. Definitely got a good flow. There's not even any water left in the thermostat. It cleared out pretty quick at 202 degrees. So, what did we learn? Well, I bought this 180 degree thermostat from Rover's North. After testing it here in my kitchen, we learned that at 182 degrees, there was basically a trickle of water. The same amount of water was going through with 182 degrees than was with the room temperature water. Then at 192, we started to see a bit more flow. And then at 202 degrees is when it seemed to have fully kind of opened up and let the full flow through quite easily. So if we have a thermostat that's supposed to open at 180 and it's actually opening at around 190, 200, that's definitely a problem. So, I thought the fan clutch was the issue. I bought a new fan clutch. Now I think it's the thermostat that's the issue. And looks like I'm about to buy a new thermostat. So I'll go online on the forums, see which one folks have used, and probably see you in about a week, I guess. Man, this has quickly become a 3-week job, but we're gonna get there eventually. So we'll see you when we get a new thermostat. All right, so I got my new thermostat here from Atlantic British. Okay. So let's do our series of tests again with this new thermostat. So let me do some room temperature water first. I don't know how well it shows on the camera, but can see some, just like this looks exactly like the previous thermostat, just some, allowing some water through for, when you fill the system, but it's definitely closed. All right, we're at 172 degrees. Looks like a bit more than the trickle it was with the room temperature water. It's definitely not open, but not open all the way, but it's definitely already letting in some more water. You see the bypass wasn't opened. Most of the water I just drained out came out of the bypass. So looks like it actually opens up a little bit with 172 degree water. So let's put in 182 degree water next and see how that goes. All right, next test, 182 degree water. Theoretically, the thermostat should fully open. Looks like it's letting in pretty much as much flow as it did at 172, I would say. Still a lot of water in there. So it's definitely not free flowing, although it's supposed to open at 180. Let's see how it looks at 192 degrees. All right, next test, 192 degrees. I would have liked to have seen a bit more flow by this point. Oh, looks like it's opening up. There you go. Look at that. I can't even keep it filled. By the time I fill it up, it's all draining right through. I'm constantly pouring by this point. And the bypass is fully open. Look at that. Excellent. No water in the stat. Great. So we know for sure that at 192, maybe a few degrees less, this thermostat, you know, I just tested 192. I guess I could test like 187 or something. We saw it at 182. Maybe it was just starting to open at 192. It's definitely fully open. I was just constantly pouring and it was all falling through. So somewhere in between, this thermostat is fully open. It's a stark difference from the thermostat we tested before, that the bypass and the thermostat didn't fully open until 202 degrees. This is at the very least opening 10 degrees sooner, although it's probably even more than that. So very great news. It looks like this thermostat from Atlantic British is working, at least far better than the one before that I had from Rover's North. To be fair, it sounds like from the forums that sticking springs in these thermostats is apparently somewhat of a common issue, so it's probably not really Rover's North's fault, to be honest. They're a very reputable vendor, but it seems like the one that I did get was not a good one. Won't put it on them, but anyway, this one I got from Atlantic British though, labeled with the soft spring 180 degree, seems to be working great. So I'm gonna get this in the rig, fill her up, and let's do another test drive. All right, so got the new thermostat in, got the new fan clutch in, we knew that already. Refilled the system, bled the system. I'm a little worried because I came back over 12 hours later after bleeding the system, checked the expansion tank level, and it had decreased quite a bit towards the bottom of the tank. So I did refill it back up to the max fill level, but I'm hoping that doesn't mean that it could mean that I have air in the system. I really hope it doesn't. But either way, we're about to test drive the car again, and let's see how it goes. I'm hoping and praying that this is finally it, but let's see. Well, I am once again on the side of the road, shutting off the car because she didn't make it. Overheated back up to 225. I shut her off in the parking lot after driving her around. She did make it a bit further this time, but yeah, got up to 225 under load. I'm calling defeat. Got to know when to give up. So I'm gonna be calling the Land Rover garage, Land Rover specialists this Monday morning. Gonna set up an appointment, take it in, have them try to do some diagnostics,
refill and bleed the system, check out the fan clutch and the thermostat. I don't know, just have them run some diagnostics, see if they can identify and fix the issue. So, calling defeat on this one. Wasn't the ending that I was hoping for, but you know, I think I really gave it my best shot here. So, next update to come.
So that was yesterday evening. Since then, I did take a crack at bleeding the system one more time this morning. When I got back to the truck, 12 hours later, expansion tank level was the same as it had been, and heater was blowing hot, blowing well. So I thought, you know, I bled the system well. Again, 225, same story over and over again. I know, but I had a thought before taking this thing to the mechanic tomorrow. You know, so I bought the car. Previous owner had told me that they had recently replaced the thermostat and the water pump. Since installing the Ultra Gauge after I bought the car, again, the highest temperature I ever saw sitting at idle was 217, and then there were occasional spikes to 221, but the 221 spikes would always go away pretty quickly, and then we get back down to 217. So those were the highest temps I ever saw until I started messing with the coolant system. And then, so let's, you know, how does this happen? I replaced all the hoses, replaced the thermostat with a 180 degree thermostat. I see temps at 225, go back in, I replace, so we got brand new fan clutch, brand new fan blades, still seeing temperatures of 225. Then I go back in and get another 180 degree thermostat. I test it. It opens at 190 at worst case. It's probably opening around the 185 to 187 range, fully open by 192. So we verified its performance, put that thermostat in. We're still seeing temperatures of 225. This is after filling and rebleeding the system multiple times. You would think by this point I would have done that at least one time right. I mean, how am I getting air in the system every single time? I don't know. So how is it that we have all these brand new system components, and yet the previous owner was seeing temperatures of 217, 221, and now we're seeing 225? I don't know, but I did, for the first time, actually go back and find this is the thermostat I removed. This is the previous owner's thermostat. First time I'm looking at it somehow. So, on the T-stat, it says Moto Rad. That's the vendor this must have come from. This is an aftermarket T-stat. There's no model number listed on the T-stat like it would for a genuine Land Rover T-stat. I also, when you look in the bottom, you won't be able to see on the camera, but on the new thermostats that I had bought that are supposedly genuine parts, they're labeled 82 degrees centigrade, and I can see the label inside the bottom of the thermostat. This one, there is no label, so again, indicating it's an aftermarket stat. But what's very interesting is when I look in the top, instead of the genuine T-stats that I've purchased, so the genuine T-stats I have, they have 4 small kind of like bleeder holes in a circular pattern, and then in the center it's kind of closed off, if you will. But this one, there's a hole in the center there. So we got 2 bleeder holes instead of 4, and then the center is kind of like open. I don't know exactly what that means, but I can definitely, when I press on it, there is a spring in there, but yeah, the center part is just fully open. Anyway, so I tried filling this with room temperature water. I want to see how this performs compared to the other ones. And at least with room temperature, it's the same performance as the other ones. It's just a trickle of water. But now I'm just curious. I mean, why not? At this point, we're in so deep. I'm going to pour in 170, 180, 190, 200 degree water and see how, I also hear a rattle in here, by the way, and see how this thermostat performs. So, let's see. There's our 172. Oh, great. I don't even have a there's nowhere to hold the crap. There's nowhere to hold the stat like on the other ones. All right, might just have to let it go if it gets too hot. Wow, it's hot. Still seeing just a trickle here with the 172 water. All right, this is the 182 degree water test. Just ended up throwing the whole T-stat in a pot of water. All right, so I don't know how well you can see, but got like 180 something degree water in here, and this thermostat is not opening up. So I want to get it up to the 190s. See if it opens up then. All right, my meat thermometer ran out of battery, but I think we're at about 190 here, or a little bit over 190. Oops. Take this out. Man, it still is not open, huh? I can see the water inside it. It's just sitting there. So even this T-stat isn't open at like 190 degree water. Man, what the... Okay, well, if we know then that the previous owner's thermostat isn't opening up around 192 degree water, then we know that the new thermostat we have in there is at least equal, if not better, than the previous owner's thermostat. So yeah, it's not like, you know, I was wondering if we would have an aha moment and say, you know, look, the previous owner's thermostat was opening at like 180 degrees, 170 degrees, so that must be why we weren't overheating before, but now we are. But yeah, it looks like this previous thermostat is just as good as the one we have in there now, if not worse. So at this point, I genuinely have no explanation for the overheating unless maybe flushing out the radiator knocked some debris loose and maybe got stuck in the radiator tubes or something like that. So I think before I go send this thing to the mechanic and spend a couple $100 on them diagnosing what might be going wrong, I think I'm gonna buy an infrared heat gun, run the car hard, get it up to temp, and then I'm gonna read the temperature on the radiator at certain spots, see if there's any cold spots, see if there's any hot spots, and kind of determine if maybe there's something wrong with the radiator. If there's nothing wrong with the radiator, then yeah, I truly have no explanations left, and I'd have to take it to the mechanic by that point. So yeah, more to come.